This is Making America Green Again by Jonathan Marcoke. The effects of climate change are becoming more and more prevalent. The polar ice caps are melting, and that causes sea levels to rise. The oceans are becoming more acidic and making it difficult for things to live there. Extreme weather events are ravaging the planet at an unprecedented rate, and that's causing major damage to us as a civilization. The smog in Beijing, China is getting to the point that people have to wear masks to go out into the city. This smog is affecting them in the harshest way possible. If we don't act on climate change in America, smog is coming to a city near you. It's already affecting cities like New York and Los Angeles. One of the major concerns for climate scientists is the rate at which we are tearing down the rainforest. South America's rainforests are the most abundant source of trees and animal life on the planet. Trees and plants use carbon dioxide that we produce to make oxygen for us to breathe. And at the rate we produce carbon dioxide combined with the rate we tear down the rainforest makes for an unsustainable curve. The claiming and refining of fossil fuels are some of the greatest contributions to greenhouse gases on the planet, along with the industries that run off fossil fuels, such as power companies. Big corporations that deal in fossil fuels lobby the government to cut them brakes on carbon emission, and this, my friend, has to stop. Our dependency on red meat also has an effect on climate change. Cows produce 10% of the methane put into the air, and a lot of the rainforests that's getting destroyed are being turned into cattle farm to keep up with the world's demand for beef. Going vegan or vegetarian may not be in the question for most people, but to consider what you're eating or consuming in terms of goods made of cowhide has an effect on the planet may go a long way to save it. How we commute also plays a part in the grand scheme of things. Private vehicles are one of the major fossil fuel consumers on the planet. There are ways around that. If a public transit system was in place for the more rural areas of the country, less petroleum would have to be consumed. Our roads are out of date when it comes to being efficient. Investing in new infrastructure would help make our commute safer and healthier for the planet. As you can see here, this chart for greenhouse gas emissions by sector. Along the bottom we see that carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide are the major greenhouse gases, and the color indicates which sector produces these. On the top we see a total of all gases together. According to this chart, power plants produce the most overall and definitely the most carbon dioxide. Agricultural byproducts produce the most methane and nitrous oxide. In America, we already produce renewable energy with hydroelectric dams and wind, but it doesn't come close to how much we use fossil fuels. In other countries like Norway, Sweden, and New Zealand, they have almost curbed their need for fossil fuels out with these resources alone, not including nuclear power, which is clean but has a majorly hazardous byproduct. We have solar power in America too, but due to the effects of lobbyists in this country, no major investment has went into these programs. Some major progressive cities in America have made major contributions to the effort to cut the dependency on fossil fuels. Burlington, Vermont is completely independent of fossil fuels due to an amped up effort to go green with solar panels. Here we see how energy is made by percentage in 2007. Of course, this has changed a bit over the last 9 years, but it hasn't changed enough. In 2014, America only produced 14.3% of its energy with renewable resources, which is an increase over the 9.5% we produced in 2007. This is not going to cut it when we know the technology is there, and when we're coming up with new ways to make energy all the time. New ways to make energy are coming around all the time. Piezoelectric generators are small generators that can be placed wherever kinetic energy is being used, like under the floor tiles of the office building you work in. New Zealand has turned so much trash into biofuel that they're buying it from other countries. There's a new coating that can be applied to any window in the world to create energy, and it's going on the market soon. Scandinavian countries are turning unused alcohol into biofuels to run their city and state trucks. Solar roadways may be the wave of the future, along with piezoelectric generators and windows that generate power. There are ways off of getting it done, but can you imagine every road you drive on producing power for your house? The benefits of going green are countless. Investing fully into these technologies will create a massive amount of jobs that will boost our economy for ages to come. If we act now, maybe the kids in China and the people in Flint, Michigan will have clean water and air. The planet is alive and we're killing it, and it almost seems like we're doing it on purpose. But if we start going green now, the planet may be able to heal itself. Why is America so behind on this issue? Well, the fossil fuel industry makes so much money that they can afford to pay politicians to get elected to incite bills and laws that allow them to keep on making profits at the detriment of all civilization. These corporations own the media, so everything you hear, read, or supposedly know is controlled by companies that spew nonsense down your throat to the betterment of their agenda. And just plain greed. Let's take a look at Norway. It's always on the top of the world's happiness index. Scandinavian countries like Norway live under a totally different political and societal system. They choose to use their taxes on the prosperity of their citizens rather than their corporations. Yes, they pay higher taxes, but they're leagues ahead of America in terms of going green. Do you want to know what will happen if we stay on the pace we're at? Sea levels will continue to rise, causing extreme weather events around the globe that do substantial amounts of damage to our civilization. The oceans will become so acidic that nothing will be able to live in them. The planet may be completely uninhabitable in the next 3 centuries. And that, my friend, is not what we want. We don't have a backup planet.